Hi folks, welcome to Advanced Algebra B Day 2. If you have not already done so, make sure you're going through and watching Day 1's video first. Alright, so in Day 1's video we reviewed how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. Today in Day 2 we're going to be talking about the characteristics of polynomials. Now, characteristics of polynomials sounds a little intimidating, but really it's just the three main things you need to know. So your three main things that we're going to cover about polynomials are standard form, and you may have gotten to this in your algebra class. Alright, but we have standard form, we have leading coefficient, and we have degree. So those are our three main things that we're going to be learning about polynomials today. And the three main things that we're going to need to remember about them. So standard form just means that you're going to take the term with the highest power of x and put that first. All right, and then after that, all of the rest of the terms go in descending order. So if we had something like x squared minus 5x to the fourth plus 3x minus 15. We're going to start by putting our highest power of x first. So we see we have an x squared, an x to the fourth, an x, and nothing. So our highest power of x is going to be this x to the fourth. But that term isn't by itself, right? It's with that minus 5, so the entire thing gets written first. Minus 5 x to the fourth is our first term. Then we're going to go in descending order, so we're going to look for any powers of x that are less than 4. So 1 less than 4 would be an x cubed, right, next to the 3. I don't see any x to the 3 terms, so we move on. You could write in a plus 0 x cubed. I'm not going to because I think that's more confusing. All right, but after that, we're going to look, so since there's no x cubed, now I'm going to look for an x squared term. Well, I can see I have 1 up front, nothing else to combine it with. Sometimes you might have to combine like terms. In this case, we don't, all right? So then we write that plus x squared, that positive x squared, is our second term. And remember, it's comes second because there's no x cubed term. All right, and then we're going to look for any terms with just an x in it. We can see we have one term that has just one power of x, and that's that 3x term. So then we're going to go ahead, write that next, positive 3x. And last but not least, our constant term, that 15, or negative 15, comes along for the ride. So now you can see we put it in standard form, which just means you're going to take it based on its exponents, and its biggest to smallest on exponents. So biggest to smallest exponents. So that's how we get our standard form. Now the leading coefficient, I think that this sounds way more intimidating than it is. All right. It's just the number that's in front of the biggest term of x, or the biggest power of x. So if I go back to my example up here, I can see I have an x to the fourth term. That's my biggest term. So the number in front is my leading coefficient. All right. So in this case, my leading coefficient would be negative 5. All right. And again, it's the leading coefficient because it's the number that's in front of the biggest power of x. If we had a different power of x, like maybe we didn't have this negative 5x to the fourth term, maybe we just had the x squared. In that case, our leading coefficient would be 1, because that's our biggest power of x. So the number in front of that, you can see there is no number here. That's an implied 1, though. All right, and then last but not least, we have degree. Now, degree is, again, sounds a little intimidating, but all it is the highest exponent. The highest exponent in a polynomial is what your degree is. So in our case, our highest exponent, the one with the biggest power, we know is our x to the fourth. So that 4, x to the 4 is our biggest term. So then our degree would be 4. All right, so our degree is 4. That's our biggest power of x. So that's our degree. So again, those are the 3 main things that you're going to need to know. I'm going to walk through one formal example with you, though. All right, so we are going to put this in standard form, list the leading coefficient and the degree. So maybe our function is 5x squared minus 7 x to the 4 plus 3x cubed plus an x to the 5th. So we're going to start by putting this in standard form. All right. Remember, standard form just means we're going to take our biggest power of x, put it first, and put everything else in order, biggest to smallest. So we can see we have an x squared term, an x to the 4, an x cubed, and an x to the 5th. So our x to the 5th is our biggest power of x, so we're going to go ahead and put that first. All right. Now in this case, there's no number in front of it, so it's just an x to the 5th term. As soon as we do that, we can actually list the leading coefficient and the degree, which I would recommend doing right off the bat so that we don't forget about it. So the leading coefficient is the number that's in front of our biggest power of x. X to the 5th is our biggest power of x, so our leading coefficient is 1. All right, I know that there's no number there, but remember that's an implied 1. And remember, the degree is just the highest exponent. Our highest exponent is an x to the 5th, so our degree is 5. So we already did the leading coefficient and the degree. Now we just have to finish putting this in standard form. So we have an x to the 5th. I'm going to look for an x to the 4th term next. I can see that I have one right here. So I have a negative 7x to the 4th. So that's our next term. I'm going to look for an x cubed term. I can see I have a positive 3x cubed here, so that will go next. And last but not least, we have a 5x squared, so that's our last term in our polynomial. And again, you can do this with a polynomial of any different size. It will always work, but that's all you need to know about standard form, leading coefficient, and degree. Go ahead and try out that assignment on Canvas.